Hey, John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy. Thanks so much for joining. I want to help you solve a math problem that you could see on your real estate exam. And it's all about prepaid interest on the day of closing. If you are ready to go, well, I am too, and let's do it right now. Okay, so the question says, what is the prepaid interest due at closing? Well, who is this? Who's going to pay prepaid interest at closing? Well, it has to be the buyer. Okay, now, how'd you get that, John? Well, a couple of things to remember for the exam. If this is the first day of the month and we have the 30th day of the month, when you make a mortgage payment on the first day of the month, you are actually paying for the last 30 days. Okay? Now, why? Because interest is always paid in arrears. Rent is paid in advance. So in this question here, it says we're closing on April the 10th, let's just put the 10th here. Well, in this case, we need to figure out what is the prepaid interest we need to collect at closing. And in this case, it would be what? 20 days of prepaid interest. Now, when the next first comes along, which would be, I'm just going to say this is April, and so this is May, they will not have a payment due here. There will be no payment due there. Why? Because we're collecting 20 days of prepaid interest. They don't owe any interest for the first 10 days because they didn't own the home then. So when we pay this prepaid interest at the closing, which is 20 days, they've already paid their month. So their first payment won't be due until June the 1st. And when they make that payment, they're actually paying back here to May 1st. Because interest is always paid in arrears. Now, sellers, on the other hand, have what is called accrued interest. So they could ask you what the accrued interest is, and that would be 10 days for the seller would pay that. Why? Because interest is always paid in arrears. We're closing on the 10th. When the seller made their payment on the 1st, they've already paid that money. So now the lender needs to collect the payoff plus 10 days of interest. That's accrued interest. But in our example, for this specific problem, we need to find out what the interest is due at closing. So we're just going to work a few T problems here. The first T problem we want to do, and I like to always put my math symbols on, total, percent, and part. Well, we know what the total is, 275,625. I want you to be warned here because the test writers like to write these questions to trip you up. And so that's the sales price, but what does the question tell us happened? They got an 80% LTV. And by the way, I'm having lots of students tell me that they are using these abbreviations pretty liberally on the exam. In other words, they're seeing a lot of abbreviations. LTV is a loan to value ratio. So the 275,625 is actually the sales price, right? And they got an 80% LTV. Well, remember, anytime you see, in this case, you need to move your decimal place out 2 places. So we're going to convert that to 0.80. And since we have both of these on the bottom, our math tells us to multiply. Now, you could be saying, how do you know that's total, John? Well, I know it's total because it's a bigger number and sales price will be bigger than the loan amount. So when we multiply 275,625 times 275,625 times 0.80, that gives me $220,500. This is the loan amount. Now we can start figuring the next T problem, which is the interest paid. So we're going to come over here, draw another T, put our math on the T. Do we know the interest rate? Yes, it was 4.25%. And so John says, move that decimal over 2 places, and you're saying, there's no number out there. Well, just put a 0. That's what you do. So don't panic. So now it's 0.0425. This is total. This is par. That's our rate there, or our percentage. Now we're like, okay, John, what goes here on the total? Well, your loan amount goes here. It's going to be bigger than the annual interest. So $220,500. Our math now tells us to multiply. Why? Because we had the two numbers there. So when we multiply that times 0.0425, we get 9,371.25. And this is your annual interest. But we need daily, don't we? So let's just divide this by 12. And I like to divide by 12 to get the monthly, which is 780.94. And then I would divide that by 30. So this is monthly interest. And now we're going to divide that by 30. And we get 2603. And this is our daily interest. And we're closing on what day? We're closing on the 10th. So now we're going to take $26.03 and we're going to multiply it times 10 days. That's daily interest. And when we multiply that, oh, pardon me, not 10 days, 20 days. I'm getting myself confused. So good catch there. Somebody out there said, hey, John, it's 20 days. Because remember, not 10 days, it wanted to know prepaid interest. And there's 20 days of prepaid interest. So I was just seeing if you all were with me here. So 2603 times 20 is $520.63. Now, if you came up within a few pennies here or there, it's a calculation error. Don't worry. Some people might be saying, well, John, I just took the 9,371.25 and I just divided it by 360 to get the daily interest. Yes, you get the same number, okay? I just get in the habit of doing monthly and 30 for daily. And so remember, this 20 days is prepaid interest. It is the interest in this problem between the closing, which is the 10th, and the end of the month, which is the 30th. And so there's 20 days there. And so the buyer pays prepaid interest and the seller pays accrued interest, okay? That's how you work that specific problem. All right. Hey, I want to remind you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and check us out at globalrealestateschool.com. We have some great, we have 5-star reviews, first of all, but we have some great tools to help you. I just updated my real estate exam coach. It includes audios, practice exam, digital flashcards, and oh, by the way, if you're a Global Real Estate School student, you get access to all of that information anyway. So it's included with your course. But check us out, globalrealestateschool.com. Again, love to have you as a subscriber. Thanks for watching. As always, go out and make it a great day.